So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Finally, a league victory for the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Final whistle review podcast, show, whatever you want to call it. Aston Villa getting the job done against Fulham at home and getting 3 points. That 3 points that lifts us to the dizzy heights of 16th place. But still, first win of the season, first multiple goal game of the season. And the first game of the season where we actually looked like we came to play a bit of football. Hell of a lot more positives in that game that would outweigh any of the negatives, I think, for sure. And just a game to get us all thinking and kind of, you know, not going to jump. I suppose we're not going to get too highs in the highs and too lows in the lows, to rob a saying from Dean Smith, but was a really competent performance, I think, from Aston Villa today. And we had a couple of hurdles we needed to get over. Nonetheless, going down after 2 minutes, but also some injury pieces, and you know, there was some tactical changes, I think, to do. Now Emery just got spot on right, and there's no other way to describe it. And we'll go through bits and pieces of those through the rest of this podcast. But it's good to get a win. A win is going to raise the spirits amongst a lot of those players. Win is going to raise the spirits amongst a lot of those fans. And, you know, hey, we're only five points off Champions League place now. That's all we are, 5 points off a Champions League place. So I know I'm obviously being facetious when I say that, but it's a building block. It certainly is. And we've got Feyenoord on Thursday, who aren't exactly pulling up trees at the moment. And then we've got Burnley then after that as well. So look, it's all about just stacking wins, taking the next game as it comes, and trying to make sure that you know that you capitalize on momentum. 1-0 wins, you know, gritty, hard-fought wins are as good as anything else now. But it was brilliant to see a 3-1 win today, and it was brilliant to see a 3-1 come from behind win today as well. So it's a really interesting one for to see how this will shape the rest of our season. And the reason I say that is because, you know, the football we played was pretty decent today. You know, it was, as I say, it wasn't a perfect game of football. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 game, but it didn't need to be. The goal we conceded, I thought there was a touch of naivety. There was a touch of sloppiness in it as well. I did put out a tweet about Lamar Bogart, and the only reason I did that was because probably about 60% of my conversation in the pre-match team sheet tantrum was my kind of bewilderment as to why he was started over Kamara. And then when he lost Jimenez and got caught in traffic and couldn't get around, now it was muchness between himself and McGinn and Mings, should I say. Nobody was really talking there. But I suppose when a player gets a run in you like Jimenez did on Mings, I'm not going to blame him too much for that. But Jimenez gets that goal. Lovely headed goal. Checked by VAR to see if there was a foul on McGinn in the build-up, and it would have been incredibly harsh to rule it out. And Villa were 1-0 down after 2 minutes. We thought that the old scoring from their first shot and target thing was going to come back to haunt us again. And Villa were kind of on the ropes for the next 15, 20 minutes. They really were. And Jimenez going off injured certainly helped Aston Villa, because they brought on Adama Traore, who as a striker was an absolute non-entity in this game whatsoever. A couple of penalty shouts then ensued from Fulham. One was a handball by Matty Cash, which, to be honest with you, if it was given, I think I would have jumped through my own television. A lot of people I can understand why people on Twitter were saying that, you know, it could be given because we've seen stuff like that given, but that wasn't a penalty, just like other penalties that have been given previously weren't penalties either. Get away with it. Then the one that was discussed about in the halftime break about Jamie Redknapp saying it was a stonewaller where Josh King goes over Emi Martinez. That one, I can kind of 50-50 that one. I can 50-50 that one. Like, the ball was gone. Martinez was absolutely in no man's land at that stage. He was a sitting duck. King was going down. by the letter of the law, you probably give the yellow card for simulation. If that happens to one of my players, I'm absolutely fuming with the player for going down a bit early, because it was a nailed penalty, a Stonewaller otherwise. It was a Stonewaller. And to be honest with you, if I was a Fulham fan, I'd feel very aggrieved with that one. I really would. I'd feel aggrieved with it. But we get away with it, and those two penalties aren't given. And then out of I won't say out of nowhere, because we tried it twice prior to that. But an excellent finish. It can be described as an excellent finish from Ollie Watkins. From a long hoof ball, Watkins makes a great run through the centre, stays onside, gets a flick up over Burton Leno, and it lands in the back of the net. And Villa are 1-1, kind of against the run of play, but also the game wasn't really, it was ebbing and flowing. Fulham were looking to try and catch us in the counter-attack. And when we kind of stuffed that area, they weren't able to do it. It wasn't convincing from Villa, but that goal really gave Villa belief. And then we finished the half a bit stronger. Morgan Rogers has another punt forward. Morgan Rogers tries to get in the end of it, can't really get onto it. Get onto it, and there was one or two other chances as well that we had. John McGinn had a great chance actually early on in the game where we dispossessed Calvin Bassey, and then he has a horror shot. To be honest with you, horror shot that just like it was a brutal shot, and missed a gilt-edged chance to level the game. But going in at half-time, I felt much the better about our team. I thought the spark was returning in a lot of ways. We were still being pushed wide, as I had mentioned in the pre-match and the team sheet tantrum, which I didn't want to happen. We're being pushed wide. There was crosses coming in, at times, and we weren't really doing much with them. Then the second half, I don't think Harvey Elliott deserved to be taken off. I thought it was harsh he was taken off, but I thought there needed to be a change there. And the change was almost immediate. Emi Buendia comes in, and we were almost immediately able to play through the centre again. Now, I want to preface this as well, that I'm a big Harvey Elliott fan. I'm a huge Harvey Elliott fan. But Harvey Elliott won't be number 10. He won't be a number 10. He's going to have to play out wide. And I think he's going to have to play out wide on the right-hand side. Sorry, I'm not going to say he won't be number 10. He's a young player. He's not a number 10 currently at the moment. They can step up in that area. And I thought he got kind of boxed out a small bit by Sander Berger and had to come wide to get the ball. Now, Buendia, that normally happens to Buendia. But I think the fortuitous piece that happened here was that we scored so early in the second half that Fulham had to push forward and couldn't hold back to take their draw. And that helped Buendia an awful lot. Probably would have helped Harvey Elliott too. But also what happened Buendia an awful lot was he scores 2 minutes after John McGinn does. So for the John McGinn goal, I think it was really excellent. A lot of great work done. I think was it Winston, or was it Lamar Bogard wins the ball back? And we recycle it back into the centre, and then John McGinn hits an absolute worm burner right across the plane of the ground. I think it clips the post as it goes in. You couldn't have placed the ball better if you tried. Reminiscent to his goal he scored during the week against Bologna as well. Just let fly from outside the box. An absolutely sensational captain's finish. And I was delighted to see him score, because I thought he had a lot of energy, and he was doing the work of two men in the middle of midfield for the first 20 minutes of the first half. And you could see that he was looking to make something happen. And then he just lets fly, and Villa are 2-1 up early on in the second half. And then, what was that? The 49th minute. And then straight away after that, then ball comes across. Was it from Digne? Morgan Rogers has a go that it misses him, and then it comes to Buendia, and Buendia hits the back of the net as well. And a super turnaround of 2 minutes for Aston Villa, where they never really looked back. They always looked like that they were a more solid team after that. And lest we forget as well that there was injuries and all of this, the build up to the first goal, the whole lot. Tyrone Mings comes off injured. Pau Torres has to come on. John McGinn goes off. I don't know, was he injured? But Kamara comes on, and then Kamara plays with Bogard in that double pivot. With Victor Lindelof then come on to play central midfield also as well. So there's players kind of feeling it maybe after Thursday there, and they had to come off. And that's okay, because even though the players were coming on and coming off, we looked a lot more solid when we got to the final reaches of that game as well. So, well, I won't call it that complementary football that I think we were looking for, because we conceded it from a set piece early on, which is usually our massive Achilles heel, and that still has not been resolved. I do think that the overall aspect of play from probably about 25, 26. I suppose realistically, when Jimenez went off, which does make it easier on us because Adama Traore comes on and he's not even related to a central striker, not even related to one. I think that makes it easier for us. But look, we've had easier chances as well. You know, Brentford didn't pose much of a threat. They'd scored their goal early and we couldn't do anything about it. But we were able to change this game around, to win 3-1. And a great home performance, like a great home victory as we move on towards Feyenoord and then on to Burnley as well. So hopefully this is a sign of the worm turning for Aston Villa, and that we can that we can move on from here. Someone is saying, I can see some comments just flash up here. And Dave Bond says, you were right, it has cured your man flu. I'm here sucking on strepsils to bait the band here, so I'm trying to keep my voice so that I can at least talk during this podcast. And I don't think it's gonna. Oh, there we go, perfect. Jay Reynolds as well. I can only see about like six comments in a row that keep on flashing past me. He says here, just in the car on the way back, I see why Glasner wanted Gesand, real workhorse and direct. Yes, yeah. I wanted to talk about Evan Gesand as well, because we're a team that's coming off the back of Leon Bailey, I suppose, playing in that right wing role. And Leon Bailey really wanted to get forward. And at times he tried to do stuff in defence. And when Unai came in, he wasn't really great at defending. And on this podcast, more than any, he took an awful lot. We took an awful lot of friendly fire and outright stick as well from us for lack of defensive work, for being timid in the tackle and so on. Evan Gesand is much more assured in that way. And what I mean by this is, like, so when things aren't going right for him in the attacking sense, I thought today he showed a small bit more promise again, a bit slow letting the ball off and stuff like that. But and for me, too wide. He hugged the touchline nearly too much at times. And I think he kind of gets in Matty Cash's way, and they just haven't figured out how to play together. Matty Cash, by the way, who I thought was really good today, haven't figured out how to play together, the two of them. And I think that's half the battle. They're getting into the same spaces as each other, but they're trying. They're still moving the ball between each other, but it's kind of ineffectual. But where Gesand really piques my interest is when things aren't going right for him in attack, he immediately moves back to defensive mode and gets back and is effectual in defense. And he's got a big body, and we need somebody to do that. So he's giving a hand to Matty Cash in there. And when their relationship sparks off, or whenever him and the right back's relationship, whoever will be, sparks off, I think we'll see much more of Evan Gesand. We haven't really seen it in an attacking sense. If he scores that goal against Sunderland, maybe we see something different. But up until today, that's really what we've been saying, is if this person scores a goal, maybe we'll see something different. Ollie Watkins scores that goal. Today, he'd only, 3 touches in the game before he got that goal. Completely different player afterwards. Was getting on the ball. Daniel Mallon even comes out in the last 10 minutes. Ollie Watkins pushes out onto that right-hand side, if I'm not mistaken. I saw him out there an awful lot anyway when, I think I did, when Mallon came off. I could be wrong on that. So confidence, breeding confidence, goals, reminding yourself that you can do it. They're all things. I spoke about Morgan Rogers having what I termed as dartitis. If any of you guys watched the game of darts or have played the game of darts, there is a mental block that the dart players get, where they actually physically can't let go of the dart because they're afraid of where they're going to throw it. And sometimes when they force them to throw it themselves, and this is professional darts players, force themselves to throw the dart, they could go anywhere. It's a mental block, and it's actually crippling to see. You see, like, it's incredible how it can happen to somebody who's a professional dart player. And I kind of liken Morgan Rogers to that, because he was struggling to let go of the ball. He was struggling to do anything with the ball. Today, there were signs that things were much better, a bit more fluid in carrying the ball, a couple of wayward passes, kept it an awful lot more simple, played from that left-hand side. And this is exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see him play from that left-hand side. I wanted him to grow into the game. And he finished up playing a lot more centrally. And I think it suited him more. It took him out of that firing line by playing him on that left-hand side. He certainly was not perfect in this game. He wasn't like the Morgan Rogers of last year. But there were 1 or 2 times today whereby he did pick that ball up deep when he went in centrally, held off his man with his hand, and was able to carry that ball a small bit further forward and got his pass off maybe 5-10 yards to the right-hand side, which he needs to do. He needs to be able to pass to that right-hand side. Morgan Rogers does. If you notice it, he really relies on his out ball, and it's a tell of his, to be honest with you, and nobody really picked up on it last year. But it is a tell of his that when he carries that ball forward, he really wants to get rid of it to the right hand side. In the main, is what I found is he needs to get rid of it to that right hand side, and that's I think it's sometimes last year when we had McGinn playing on that right hand side, that was an easy ball for him because McGinn is going to be willing to come in and get that ball off you. Again, when we talk about that right hand side not having that serendipity together between the right fullback and Gassand, Morgan Rogers bursting forward, maybe the players aren't in the positions he's expecting them to be. That's also on him as well, not to communicate that. So it's not a cop out for him. But when he has that out ball to that right hand side, sometimes he's able to get that ball off, get into more further attacking positions, and then make things happen. As I say, bit better from him today. I suppose really, if I was being critical, in the first half when there was a substitution, when we heard that Buendia was taking his bib off, I thought it might have been him that was coming out. I can understand why Harvey Elliott was taken out because I think his position in Aston Villa when Morgan Rogers gets firing again, if he gets firing again, starts playing in number 10, Harvey Elliott's position will be wide. It will be wider than playing in that number 10 position. I've just always felt that he was going to be that right-sided option of magic in time to come. I'm really struggling without your comments, guys. I really am. I really am. What else was I going to say there? What else happened in the game? I think I've covered most of the bases. I badly need Paddy back. Come back, Paddy. All's forgiven. Paddy's just away this weekend with his family, so he's got a well-earned weekend off. Who else do I want to talk about? So I was critical of Lamar Bogard in the first half. Voiced my opinions of him on Twitter. I think it was only one of a couple of tweets I put up in the first half, but it just wasn't working. If he was brought in there to shield the defense, he wasn't shielding the defense. They were able to get that ball directly through. And I mentioned that Unai Emery made a couple of tweaks at halftime, and he absolutely did. He kind of more or less just let Lamar Bogard sit in the centre circle for that second half. And I thought it was good for him. Took the thinking of the game out of it for him. Let McGinn move further forward. Brought Buendia in there. Brought a bit more energy in and around Sandaberga and Lukic. Lukic was also on a yellow card. So this is why I loved it. In hindsight, why I loved that change at halftime. Was because Lukic was on that yellow card. Getting people in and around him meant he couldn't start hacking people down, dragging people down, stopping attacks. So they did try and isolate him, and it worked a couple of times. They tried to isolate him out there. Completely took Sanderberger out of it in the second half. He was influential in the first half. McGinn actually got his yellow card for dragging Sanderberger down, which I thought was a silly foul because Sanderberger moves at glacial speeds. You measure his speed in revolutions of the sun around of the earth around the sun. Never mind in miles per hour, because he's like I'd beat him in a 100-meter sprint, definitely. So anyway, we that little tweak, taking the thinking out of it for Lamar Bogard, letting him just patrol that midfield area, that centre circle area. All he was doing a lot of the time was moving laterally, really much more suited him. Because in the first half, my tweet said he didn't have a defined role. He didn't have a defined role in there, and it could have just been the fact that it's nervous enough. It was a hotbed atmosphere. You're getting a start in a team that isn't confident, and you're in there, and you're in there for a man that the manager praised as being the best player on the field only 3 days previous, and that every single one of the 39,000, because I know it wasn't full in Villa Park today, every single one of those Villa fans are going, why isn't Kamara starting? That's a daunting situation. Now, I don't care how young you are, you got to get your head around that if you're going to be professional football. It took him 20 minutes to get into the game. And I think that tactical tweak that Unai Emery made it easier for him to get into the game, make it easier for him to stay in the game in the second half. And it also proved dividends for us because McGinn was able to get further forward. And McGinn ran his socks off. McGinn was definitely man of the match today. He ran his socks off, and then Kamara came on for him. And then, as you said, Lindelof came on then for Bogart to shore it up with 7 or 8 minutes left to go. So I think that tactical tweak from Unai Emery was, excuse me, while it wasn't the winning of the game, because obviously we scored 3-4 minutes after half time, and I don't think it was necessarily just down to that. Obviously, John McGinn was released for the forward. But I think that it allowed us to be a lot more structured in the rest of the game, because we took the thought out of it for a younger player who didn't have a great 20 minutes and was feeding his way back into the game. So well done, Lamar Bogart. Well done, Unai Emery. And I suppose really well done to the team as well, because there was some, I thought there was some really good performances. I hope Tyrone Mings' injury isn't bad. I don't even know what it was. I don't know. I didn't even see it happen. Does anybody know what the injury was? I was going to say, does anybody know what the injury was? I'll have to keep an eye on the comment box here in the bottom right hand corner. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that is, because we need to get him back pretty quickly. I also hope that John McGinn wasn't injured. I think the commentator said something about him getting injured he looked like he picked up a slight injury in a tussle with Josh King, but Josh King had gone off a good bit beforehand, and maybe he was saying Josh King was injured, because I couldn't really hear. I didn't really have the commentary turned on. It was down pretty low. And I was also on the ground being squashed by my two children as well at the same time, trying to play with them while I was watching the match out of the corner of my eye, that part. So there was that. Which Mings, it was a heel problem. Okay. Well, hopefully that isn't a Cutty's heel. Oh, that's fine. Perfect. That's okay, because I want to see us getting fresher. I want to see us getting back to full health. Yuri Tielemans can't be a million miles away. Amadou Nana can't be a million miles away. Ross Barkley is back in training, and just Garcia didn't make the squad today, but he's not a million miles away. Clean bill of health for this team will go a long, long way over the next coming weeks, because it's going to be Thursday, Sunday from here on in, and we're going to need to utilize all those players, and we're going to need to build some of the guys up that are coming back from injury, while also keeping the confidence levels of the guys that are there somewhat high and keeping the winning coming, because that's the best way to get that confidence levels up. Winning, scoring goals, and just bring that good feeling back to Aston Villa again, and back to Villa Park once more. Keep Villa Park that fortress. I know we lost our winning record there. We did go a year there without losing. Let's bring that record back, and if you can do that, you'll rocket up the league pretty handily, in no time. But it's not a given for sure. It's certainly not a given, and we need to do everything we can to, as a team, to stay in matches defensively. And then if you get a chance, like Ollie Watkins did today, ball bounces, get your touch to it, get it up over the goalkeeper, bring yourself back into the game, compose yourself, and then drive forward again, like we did today with that brilliant captain's goal. So I don't know, guys. I mightn't keep you much longer, because, as I say, I'm without comments, I'm without a co-host, and I'm running out of things to say. Yeah, Thomas Bramall did. I just saw a comment pop up there a while ago. Thomas Bramall didn't affect the game today. Fourth official for VAR. None of the VAR calls I thought he got wrong. So it was fine from that point of view, and we won't have another Thomas Bramall excuse in this game so far. But I'm sure we're not a million miles away from one of those. The amount of games that he seems to get at Villa Park these days. But thankfully, we don't have to talk really an awful lot about refereeing issues in this game today. Albeit I thought there was one or two kind of challenges after people were on yellow cards that potentially could have been looked at. But again, I would have been annoyed if people were sent off for stuff in that game today, because I don't particularly think that it was anything out of the ordinary. So that's going to do it. Villa get their 3 points up to 16th place, 6 points off Chelsea, off second, 2 points off Chelsea, 5 points off Champions League football. That's where my mind is the moment. We get to go back to Rotterdam, the scene of the crime in 1982, to play in De Kuip versus Feyenoord this week coming as well. So join us for that. I'm going to have Michael from the Football Aranya podcast, my go-to guy for Dutch football. He's actually also a Villa fan as well. So he's going to be on with us maybe even tomorrow night. I think we have to do an early one there, because I think he's going out to the game. So we get an early one in there, and we're going to have Paddy. I think is going over to Rotterdam as well, so we might get Paddy live from Rotterdam and from De Kuip if we can as well. So join us for everything this week. Smiles on our faces today, and that's all we really asked for beforehand. Keep the smiles on our faces, and we'll be doing much better, and we'll be the podcast will be get back to its normal happy clappy self again. But thanks so much everybody for joining us. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate everything. Plenty of other great Villa content that you can immerse yourselves in I know the official channel has gone live there as well. I haven't seen any of the rest of the guys go live, but immerse yourself in all the great Villa podcasts as well. And we will see you very soon, most likely tomorrow evening. Stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.